that we have to offer on the retreat. Okay. All right. So um, this is just going to go into, we're definitely going to go into the topic of managing stress. So I did want to talk about that, give some, of course, tips. And then, of course, if anyone jumps on that has like a question, I could work some things out with you while I am live. Right now, I'm just fixing a couple things real quick. Probably need to share this crap out.
We
Let's
can
see.
share it on your. Are you on your
Yeah, I put it on my business page so that I could get more views. I think it's a really good topic. And a lot of people don't get they don't get the hits when it's in the tribe. So I want to make sure
mm,
people are getting notified. Share it in a couple places. Share it to my other page. Okay. All right. Boom. Okay. Cool beans. All right, you guys. So drop in the comments. Let me know where you're watching from. If you're watching, um, and then of course I want to see those hashtags. Oh, this thing is getting on my nerves. Getting on my last nerves. Facebook doing the most. Okay, boom. I feel like I haven't been live forever on my other platforms, so forgive me, y'all. I still love you guys. I, just- I still love you. I'm coming back. I swear, I'm coming back when I get more time. So tonight we're gonna go into. I have Queenie as one of my guests tonight. I don't know if anyone will pop on. If they do, if anybody else comes on, they'll just pop in. But I wanted to cover managing stress as we go into just the times. And I know the economy is just one of those things where the economy is very crazy. Managing your money, managing the stress of the money, managing the stress of finances. It's definitely one of those things that are top tier right now. And if you are not finding ways to de stress, if you're not finding ways to work through your worries and your fears and all of those things that are coming up, then you're going to find yourself with more issues, more health problems. Because stress does affect your body. It affects your physical body in so many different ways. And we see it play out. It's not just heart attacks or strokes, although those are very two big ones. But you can have a multitude of health issues depending on what's going on in your life. As we talk about in the quantum field, and we're talking about in quantum healing, different parts of your body will speak to you, telling you what's going on in your life. And you got to pay attention to that to start making changes. So, Queenie, what are some ways, real quick, that you de stress? What do you do?
I usually I try to meditate, and I usually get some incense and meditate, and basically I clean. Besides, after I clean my entire home, I end up getting some really good incense. I love lavender. Your daughter sells those beautiful lavender incense that
Mhm.
I choose to buy. And I meditate. Meditation is a good form of de-stressing. Um, Meditation is a good form of de-stressing. So when you meditate, it's a form of you getting closer to inform yourself, in form of spirit. It's in form of getting closer to the universe and getting in form of inside your human being. You know, um, I listen to some mild music, and basically sometimes I listen to your meditation music, and I just sit there and I breathe in and I breathe out, and um, meditation is the best thing for me to relieve my stress with some good incense and and cleaning, because you want to be cleansed, and cleansing is part of you know the meditation process. you know
Right.
Cleansing is part of the meditation process, because if you don't cleanse your area, then you're not going to be part of that area of you being distressed. Because if you don't cleanse your area, you don't cleanse your home, you don't cleanse what's around you, you're going to be stressed you know
We'll come back to that in a minute because I do feel like sometimes when your house or home or any your work area, wherever it's when it's in a disarray, you can start to not realize that that's a part of your stressors, or that's a part of what you're not looking at, you're not feeling good. Um, but going back to meditation is a top form. I do agree with that. Not everyone can meditate. Definitely, you guys drop me a comment and let me know what are some forms that you guys do, and then what are some big stressors that you have, so I can maybe look at that and talk about it. But if meditation is not something that you can do, if it's something that you have not perfected, you have not been able to do it, it's just not, you don't feel like it's feasible, which again, it's up to you to create the time to do these things. Like everyone can tell you, yeah, meditation is top and this is beautiful, but if you don't create the time to do it or learn it, then you just don't put it into your schedule. So you have to be the one to create the time to add it. Hey, Evelyn. Hey, Lucinda. Um,
Hey,
and make it a priority to do it. But I want to talk about some things, even if you're not a very spiritual person, right? Even if you're not a very spiritual person, and you don't really go into any of that stuff, and you're just like, okay, what are some other things that I could do to de-stress? And I want you guys to remember there's some simple things. Walking is a great de-stressor. Okay. Just taking a walk, getting out in fresh air, getting, even if it's on your lunch break and you not just going to go eat, but take like 5 minutes to just walk around somewhere where you work. Go take a walk, around, I don't know where you work exactly, but if you have a parking lot or something around that you can go walk, go take a little 5-minute walk and just get that fresh air, get your heart pumping, and just breathe. That is a big one. Okay. Because I know a lot of stress comes from work, whether it's co-workers getting on your nerves, bosses getting on your nerves, whatever that is. Take that second and go outside. So walking is a very good one, even if you're at home. And I know people with small kids, it might be a little bit rough with small children to kind of get that time. But again, you have to, if your spouse is there, you got to demand that time. You got to get that, hey, I need 5 minutes before I lose my shit, right? Give me 5 minutes to go woo-saw real quick. But walking is a very, very good de-stressor. You breathe, and not even if you're thinking about all of your problems while you're walking, you're eventually going to start to feel better because you're releasing it every time you breathe, every time you're just smelling that fresh air, and you don't even notice it after that walk. You actually feel good. Hey, Julie. So you guys type in some stressors that you guys have, some things that are always stressing you, and any issues that you're having with managing your stress. Drop a comment, okay? Um,
I also like to besides meditating and cleaning the house, I also like to play with my garden.
mm,
That also, like, oh, you would love my garden by now, girl. Um, I like to play with my garden, and that also helps me de-stress,
right.
because that is another way of transforming myself into another dimension of, hey, look, I am you know I am building something here. I am building something to help people. I am building something to help myself. I am building something to de-stress myself. I am part of Mother Gaia, building myself to, relax and ground myself.
Mm,
You know, I like to ground myself, and that is also part of, de-stressing yourself,
yeah.
grounding yourself.
Yeah. Well, it definitely gardening, if you don't have a garden, even if you don't have a garden, just having plants around the house and when you periodically water them and you just spend that time, you kind of can separate yourself from whatever's going on. And because I don't have a outside garden, I have a lot of my plants are inside, especially because where I live now it gets cold. So I've learned to kind of sit with them in here and kind of transplant them in the house and take that time to sit. So definitely a beautiful, even if you're not a gardener, it's a beautiful experience to just sit with plants and watering them and talking to them and just kind of vibing out, right?
You
Listening
know,
to music. Music is definitely, and I have that on my list. Music is definitely a top de-stressor. You definitely have, and I'm not saying go and get no rage crazy music, right? That says shoot 'em up, kill 'em, right? That's not gonna de-stress you. That's gonna make you want to go do some crazy shit. But if you turn on, find that upbeat music, find that inspiring music, find that music that really gets you to touch some emotions that maybe you don't know. And it's interesting that sometimes we try to avoid emotional music when we're stressed out because we don't want to cry. And that might be what you need. So put that sappy music on, sit with that music, scream, cry, let it out. Because again, afterward you're going to feel so much better when you allow yourself to do so. So music is definitely up there on my list of some of the top things to do when you want to de-stress, and that you can do with the kids around. You can actually turn that music on and everybody has to listen to that shit now. The whole house got to listen to it.
and that's also a form of healing. That's also a form of healing. You
Right.
also heal yourself besides distressing. You're also healing your soul. You're healing your individuality. You're healing yourself.
Right. Tracy, I'm not doing readings right now, boo. I am talking about managing stress. Um, dancing is a huge one. It coincides with that walking. You're getting into dancing is one of those things. It's an active meditation. It's what we call active meditation. You actually are getting yourself in another kind of dimension when you're dancing. You're putting on that music, you're letting go, you're letting loose, you're vibing out. So dancing is definitely one. It doesn't matter what type of dance you do, especially if you're learning particular dance steps. Now your mindset is on the dance step. You're not thinking about anything else. You're thinking about the dance step and coordination, right? That's why a lot of people love Zumba. I actually started this step, and it's not dance, it's just step up on this stepper to music. And then they do certain kind of moves. And I just started that. So very beginner at that, but I love it. I love it. It's inspiring and you just get lost in it.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, and you also, just by moving yourself like yoga or something in that aspect is relaxing and de-stressful.
Oh yeah. People, I was even someone who was like yoga, whatever, before I started doing it. But when I really got into, especially the chakra yogas, because you're concentrating on energy points in the body. So it's definitely a lot different when you're focusing on energetic points and connecting to those energy points, right? When you're doing the chakras. But even if you don't do chakra yoga and you're just focusing on parts of your body and you're focusing on your breath and you're focusing on holding poses, your mind is not on your stress, right? You're actually letting it go. And you have a lot of tension points in your body that when you do these things, it releases it out of the body. That's one of the big things that why stress kills, because stress is just sitting in the body. It's sitting in your cells. It's forming into whatever disease it wants to form into, right? So that's when you want to get busy doing other things to get rid of it, get it out. Because there will always be something to worry about. There will always be something happening. There will always be some shit hitting the fan. That's life, right? But if you have some really good steps in place, you can learn how to manage stress where it doesn't overcome your life and you don't start getting sick because of it. Okay. Crying is a huge one. A lot of people, and I was guilty of that too. I was very guilty of running away from my emotions, running away from crying. because I felt like I had to be strong and I had to hold my shit together and I couldn't, cry. But then now I'm a crybaby.
Mm.
Now I'm a crybaby, and I actually am okay with being a crybaby. I cry now, and I'm okay with turning it on and letting it, because my body is releasing something that I don't need to hold on anymore. So those negative emotions need to come out. And so crying actually is a beautiful form to release and let go. And you don't realize that that cry, that really ugly cry, is connected to some of the things that's stressing you out until afterwards, and you feel like a weight has been lifted and you're like, oh shit, I feel actually better. As you're wiping the snot away, you're wiping the snot away and you're like, yeah, this feels good. um any particular situations that's stressing you guys out that maybe you feel like you can't handle? Drop a comment so I can see, and then I'll kind of touch those. But driving, taking a drive. Some of the times when where I felt like I didn't have a place in the home, or it's overcrowded, because sometimes you got family, kids, and all of that. Jump in the car, go take a drive. When I'm in my car and I'm just vibing and playing music, I'm in a whole different world. I'm in a whole different vibe to myself, the whole car to myself. So even taking a drive is something that could really just clear and get you to that point, especially you guys who commute going to and from work. Use that time in your car to just play some music and de-stress before you pick up the kids, before you get to the house, before you get into whatever else is stressing you. Take that time to be one of your moments to just de-stress. Hey, Andrea, praying. And praying is a good one. And you do not have to be religious to pray. Prayer is basically speaking to source energy, God energy, whatever it is that you believe in. That's what prayer is. So, sitting in those moments, and again, it's just like if you were sitting in that meditation, you're connecting to your source energy, you're speaking to that higher source. And, a lot of people don't realize that next level is your higher self, because who knows your life better than you? Nobody. So your higher self, your higher being, is going to be that first energy that you're tapping into to guide you, to help you, that loves you. And you're always connected to source God energy. So praying is another one. Sit and pray, sit and connect. Faith is huge. And I feel like most of the world has issues because of their problems with faith, not having enough, right? Or having too much where you're ridiculous with it. So having that balance in what you believe in, and understanding that there is more to this life than today, this is happening, or my bills are overwhelming, or my kids are overwhelming, or my family has issues. And then if you sit down with your stressors, and I always say this because I've had to do this too, where I've put more on my plate than I needed to. And sometimes we're putting too much on our plate, and it's like, why did I do that? What I mean? Why didn't I just take this time to relax? Why the fuck am I putting too much on my plate? So sometimes you have to sit back and go, is this something that I can manage? Is this something that I can control? Or is this something out of my hands? And that's what I want you guys to really look at when you're looking at your stressors. Are these things that you can control, or is it things that are out of your hands? Because things that are out of your hands, why are you stressing over it? If you cannot change it, if there's nothing that you can do, if it's somebody else's shitstorm, why are you stressing yourself out about it? And it's not to say to get into a place of, fuck everybody, and I don't care about anybody's life, but you have to take a step back and remember that everybody has their life that they're going through, right? Everybody has their lessons. Everybody has their stuff. So you got to keep retracting back to your life and coming back to, what can I control? What can I focus on that I have control to really do in this moment? That's going to help you de-stress also. Because most of the time we're worried. We're worried about shit in the world. We're worried about wars that have nothing to do with us. We're worried about, is the world going to come to end tomorrow? Is food going to be short? All of these things that are, on our plate, that we forget to just be in the now and release what we cannot control. Because can any of us control if the food shortage happens tomorrow? The only way that you can control it is if you start finding ways to either store food, to learn how to can food, do those things if you're that worried about it. But if it's something that you really can't, can you stop the war that's happening on the other side? No. You can't. So things like that, you have to take that step back and go, are these some things that I can manage and control? So managing stress is understanding, what are you stressed out about? What are you taking on that's not yours? And what do you need to release? One of my biggest things the spirit kept telling me over and over and over, and I mean over and over and over, y'all, was that I was carrying the world's problems. And I just kept going back, but I want to help people and I want to save people and I want to help people. And spirit's like, all right, so we got to put you on your ass. Because you need to work on you. You need to sit with you. You need to do for you. And you cannot do that if you're worried about everybody else's life. You know, we come into this, I got a job and I'm a spiritual warrior and I'm this and I'm that, but all of those things take away from you and your time and your life. And so practicing ways to come back to you, doing things that you love, doing things that feel good, that's going to help you alleviate a lot of your stress. Now, if it's money issues, of course, I always tell people sit down with your budget, really look at some things that you need to do because sometimes it gets tight, right? Sometimes that money gets tight. Sometimes shit is changing out there. So you got to go, okay, well, what is this month that I can actually do without to maybe push this budget here or there? Those are just things that you have to sit back and go through it. And they're all okay, you know, but don't let it get to the point where it's driving you sick and you're in the hospital and you got problems and you're like, why am I so sick? Well, if you start to sit and look at a lot of things, when we look at um heart issues, right? We look at heart issues and a lot of that stuff, when we're talking about stress hitting you, when it's hitting your heart or your lungs and things like that, is you're feeling restricted in your life. But are you putting those restrictions on yourself? You know, you have to sit back and think, am I doing this to me? Am I adding more to my life than I don't need right now? So those are the things I want you to kind of think of when you're thinking of what is the real stress on my plate? What is the real stress on my plate? And if you ask yourself that, sit down with all of the things that come up. What are my real stressors? And see, is it really connected to you or is it so and so's issue that you put on your plate, that you've made your problem? Hey, Hope, that's what you have to sit back and think of. And yeah, people could give you tons of tools to help you. But if you don't look at also your stressors and see, are they truly yours or are you taking on everybody else's shit? Right? You're not going to be able to get into the real mojo of your life. And you're here to experience and have fun. You're here to experience and have fun with this life. You're not here to fucking be miserable. You're not here to be constantly miserable. That's not the plan. Yeah, yeah. And that's what we have to do. It took me a long time to figure this out, to stop making everybody else's shit my problem. And I'd be like, well, that's unfortunate that that person is going through it. I still love them. There's nothing I can do about it though. Why am I going to stress myself out on somebody else's fucking business? Ain't got shit to do with me. And it took me a long time to get to that point. Some people might think that's cold, but it's not, because you cannot do something. Somebody is still going to go and they're going to go fuck up their life. They're going to go do drugs. They're going to go do whatever the hell they're doing. And all you can do is say, well, that's unfortunate. I'm going to pray for that person, right? I'm going to send them some good energy. I'm going to send them some healing and I hope they find what they're looking for. That's all that you could do at the end of the day. You cannot tack on everybody else's shit in your life. That's what makes the stress worse. Because I kid you not, eventually you will have health issues. Eventually your body will start to shut down. Your body, your physical body can only take so much. It really can. And if you are constantly, year after year, decade after decade, you know, racking up stress, racking up issues, racking up worry, all you're going to do is break your body down to where your body's going to be like, you know what? Shit. Well, I guess we got to give up because you're not listening. I guess we got to go sit in the hospital because you're not listening, you know? And that's what you don't want. So to not get there, start taking a step. First, I want you to take a look at your stressors. See, are they really yours? And if they're not really yours, start to make changes in your life. The biggest thing we do is, oh, I can't. Somebody, so and so needs me, right? Oh, I can't take a day off because So-and-so needs me. Oh, I can't put my feet up because so-and-so needs me. I can't put, oh, I got to go make this money. I can't take a day off. Why? You know? Why? Queenie, you falling asleep on us. You're on mute. So you have to kind of ask yourself, like, why? Why are you not taking the time that you need? You need to be able to find things, whether it's a class, whether it's shit. YouTube has a bunch of free shit to watch, you know? You're on mute. We can't hear you.
I take astrology classes all the time. I'm learning how to do my astrology classes. I'm learning how to do the past, present, and future on astrology classes. And they're all free classes. They're all free classes. And, it's stressless. It's stressless. And that's what I'm doing. So,
Yeah, you
I'm
can.
sorry.
Do you got to add in things that you like. And I know sometimes it's like, well, I don't have money, but there's a lot of things that don't cost that you can do at home. And I know the next thing will be, well, I don't have motivation at home, and that's on you. Nobody can give you motivation. Nobody can give you energy. Those are the things you got to pull from your source. You got to pull from your, your inner energetic self, your bigger being. You got to pull from that to get up and do those things. But find those things. Definitely find those things to manage your stress. So any other ways, you guys, that are things that you do to manage your stress? I know some people kind of popped in. Drop a comment and let me know, how do you manage your stress? What are some things that you guys do? We talked about walking and driving and music and crying and dancing and yoga. And I know we did touch on organization a little bit. And I do want to touch on that because a lot of times our stress is connected to our area, right? Whether your work area, whether your home area, right? And so if you're disorganized, if everything is all over the fucking place, you're going to feel like shit. There's no way to feel good in a place that's all over, you got shit all over the place, right? So even if you're someone who suffers with like depression and those kind of things, take
Um, Baby steps.
baby steps to organize. Maybe you take a corner, and to someone else that might be like, "Ugh, you only get a corner." I have to mute you, Queenie, because the background. To someone else, it might be like, "Oh, you only did a corner. What's that?" But to you, you're like, "Shit, that's a huge step." That corner took me a lot to get through that corner. But don't give up. Because when you do organize your space, and whether it's at work, at home, wherever, you're going to feel a lot better when everything is put in a certain place, when it's clean, when it's tidy, when it's orderly. You got to remember, what's going on around you outside is how your inner being is. So if everything is chaotic and in a disarray outside of you, that's how the inside of you is. Okay. And you got to understand how this process works. As within, so without. That's the process. So if outside is a fucking hurricane, guess what? Inside is going to be a hurricane, right? Self-medicate. Yeah. So I'm not going to sit here and promote self-medication to anybody. I would never put that on the list and say, go to that. I think that if you are at a point where you need medication, whether from a psych therapy or whatever, go for it, because there are things that you can get prescribed to you that gives you more energy, helps with anxiety, helps with focus. Okay. So that you can get back to a state of de-stress. There's nothing wrong with utilizing the health system, the healthcare system to help you. I'm not a fan of medication, but I know that sometimes it's needed, right? So, and if you can go get help and not have to go to alcohol and drugs and all of that other shit, I feel like that would be the better way to do it, right? So I would not say self-medicate. I know a lot of people smoke weed to feel better and stuff. And again, if you need to do that to help you, but don't make that your life's go-to, right? Don't make it to every time I'm stressed, I got to hit this cigarette. Every time I'm stressed, I got to hit this, joint or bong or whatever the fuck, or vape, you know. Every time I'm stressed, I got to do that. Start finding something that's more productive for your body, that gets you moving, that gets you going. exercise, walking, anything, swimming, shit, anything that's productive that gets you in a better vibration, because self-medication does what to you? You start to what? Go to sleep. You're in a numb. You don't want to numb. That's not
It
gonna
makes you a zombie,
right.
basically.
Look at that, Julie. I got to give you so much props going to school to get your diploma for your high school. Look at that. Going back to do that. And that's a huge thing to go back and say, you know what? I'm going to go back and I'm going to get this. I'm going to finish this. You know, it's kind of what I did when I said I'm going back to school and I'm going to get this degree. And I got 2 semesters left to go and I'll have the AA degree. And then I'll go on to get the bachelor's. But those are the things when you say, I'm going to do these things for me. This is for me. I'm going to take this time to do this for me. And it's so beautiful to put yourself up something that is positive, right? Hey, Crystal. Suffer from PTSD from being a firefighter and I have trouble confronting my problems. What would you suggest? So one of the things of PTSD is understanding your triggers, right? Understanding to try to limit the places that you go that will trigger you. You know, because not everything is going to go away through healing. There's something that I've learned being a healer, an advocate for healing. There are some things that are just never going to go away. There are some things that just certain places and things are going to trigger you. So it's trying to limit yourself to going to the places that trigger you, if that makes sense, right? But the other thing that you talked about, confronting your problems, you got to ask yourself, there's a fear there, right? There's a fear to confront the problem. So what is a problem? Give me like an example of a problem that you don't want to confront that you got, because every kind of situation is different, but you got to find the fear. What is the fear that's preventing you from confronting the issue? That's where you got to start, because when you get to understand the fear, then you can kind of work through and see that the fear is truly an illusion. It keeps you in a cage, locked in this cage. It keeps you from moving forward, but the fear is not real. So it's understanding what is keeping you from getting there. What's the fear between you and the confrontation or the problem, right? Sometimes we don't want to confront a problem because then we know we have to make change. It's easier to ignore some shit, right? I don't want to deal with that today. I don't want to deal with those problems. I don't want to have that argument today. I don't want to have to go, to that place today. I just can't deal with it today. But if you do that every day, right, over and over and over again, then you just create this space of, again, not wanting to deal with things. I know it has. I've been in school, you guys. I'm still in school, but right now we got spring break going on. So I get a little bit more time. And so I'll be live a little bit more this week with you guys. But school, I have 5 classes this semester and it's been kicking my ass. Yeah, it makes you lazy. Yeah, I wouldn't say self-medicate. It's not something that I would say do. I just feel like it's not going to take you anywhere. Okay. You remember a time where you saw a toddler who got in a car accident, and whenever I see a semi truck, I get those memories. Yeah. Now, things like that's kind of hard, right? Because you drive, you see it, but again, again, either what some of the things I do, because I have issues with semi trucks. Also, I cannot like drive next to them unless I have to. So I'm either passing them or I'm either staying way behind them to get away because I don't want to be around them. Some things are going to be where you can't, right? Unless you just stop driving. And is that really realistic in your life? Some of those memories, seeing people get hurt, seeing things happen, I think those are things that are going to stick with you, right? But again, it's in this moment, right, that you're seeing the semi truck, right? And that's coming in. Do you have a kind of a pattern of calming yourself down, a soothing technique? Now driving, of course, you can't just go into meditation and be like, I'm going to close my eyes and drive. You can't do that, right? So what other thing can you do? Is there a song that soothes you that you could pop on and be like, all right, I got to put this song on. I see the semi truck. I need to get that noise out of my way so I can refocus my attention. So there's ways to kind of soothe, because again, some things we will never be able to get rid of. Some things are just going to be embedded in our memory, right? But we got to remember in this moment, I'm not in a wreck with this semi. In this moment, there's distance between me and this truck. I'm more fearful of what could happen versus what is happening. So in this moment, what can I do to self-soothe? I'm a big fan of noises. You ever remember like being in pain and just humming to yourself or kind of grunting to yourself? Find ways to self-soothe, whether it is singing a song in that moment that calms you down. You have to find tips. I don't want to say tips and tricks, but things that work for you to get you to kind of calm. I'm not someone who likes to fly. And it's not like I've been in a plane crash, right? Um, I still don't like to fly though. Everybody knows, if you know me, you know, I'd rather drive across country 3,000 miles before I get in a plane. But one of the things I do is I turn on after, well, because we can't play music, right? They tell you shut your phone off. But I put some like headphones in and I'm not listening to anything and I just go to sleep because I'd rather be asleep through the plane ride than be awake. And then I usually wake up at the end when we're landing and I get jolted and I'm like terrified, right? So find things and ways to kind of maneuver through some of the things. And with PTSD, with trauma, there's a lot of levels. You eventually can get to a decent level to where you're not being triggered so often, but that takes work. That takes work of working through and standing with your fear and having to confront those fears. And that can get hard because having to replay a visual like a toddler in a car accident, that's very hard to do. I'm not going to say that's something that's easy to do. It's very hard. Okay. So just, yeah, Frank Sinatra is kind of like that used to be one of my karaoke songs. Like two of them, especially New York. That was like one of my big karaoke songs. So yeah, find something that can soothe you in that moment because remember, our mind is focused on the problem, right? Our mind is focused on the trigger. Our mind is focused on the stress. Our mind is focused on what's going on. So we have to trick the mind. That's tricking the ego. We got to trick the mind into something else. How can I take my attention off of whatever's going on? And that's where you get the switch. Let me put in this song. Let me get into the self-soothe mode. A lot of times we weren't taught how to self-soothe. You know, maybe we weren't taught these things. I know no one taught me to self-soothe. I just had to freaking learn it. So you just start bringing in those modes of what can help, you know. I'm actually getting a degree in psychology. So I want to be able to help people with mental health also and combine it with the spiritual knowledge that I have. And so psychology it is. So two more semesters, y'all got, and I'll have the AA degree. So I will be, you know, sending the link so you guys could see me walk down the aisle and everything. But and then I'll be transferring to a university. So I already work with people with trauma and PTSD is another one that I work with. Grief, and I do, of course, a lot of different things. It really depends on you of how I would work with you, but you can find ways to work with everything that you're dealing with, every bit of stress, every bit of PTSD, your traumas, and it's one of the biggest things is you can't be afraid to sit in whatever you're feeling. The only way to understand how to create your soothing techniques or what's going to help you is to sit in it and understand it. And if you can do those things little by little, because no one's saying jump all in and go to 10 different triggers and 10 different things. I've seen people crash and burn doing that. You really have to go little by little and master these little pieces of you. You know, it's like mastering these little bits of you until you get to this better wholeness of self. Okay. Thank you so much. Tune in, subscribe to the channel. And I'm not live a lot right now because I'm in school, but like I said, I'll be live a little bit this week. And I'm definitely going to have more videos of topics like this one is managing stress. On the 19th, I do have one where I will be talking to a woman who's a medium. So we're going to talk about some mediumship stuff on the 19th. And then I also have one, I believe, let me see, what's the other date that I'll be doing this? I have to look at my coordination. On the 24th, we're going to talk about the ego. Definitely want to come into, yeah, you definitely share my channel out. I definitely want to talk about the ego on the next tribe talk. I'll talk about that a little bit more. We'll get into understanding what the ego is. If you can understand what your identity is, you can help maneuver understanding what's you, the identity, who you think you are here in this life, and then like who is your other half, your other being part of you that tap into. But tonight we're talking about managing stress. So any more issues with stress that you guys are going through, drop a comment. We can discuss it, kind of work through it. But again, like I told you, there's things to do. Take a walk, take a drive, music, take a shower. Even if it's a 5-minute shower, just stand in the shower, let the water go, and visualize you releasing and washing off your problems. That is one of the best things that I've ever done in my life, is just using my shower time to just sit and cleanse and let it go. All in the shower, all gone. I don't need it anymore. I don't need to hold on to it. So shower, swimming, anything that takes you out of what you're feeling. And again, everything doesn't need to be, oh, I need to spend money to de-stress. No, some things are free. I don't know. I have random times that I'll be streaming, but click the subscribe and the notification button so you get the notification when I go live. But I don't have any set times this week. The other tribe talks will be on the 19th. It'll be at 8:30 Central Time, and on the 24th, it will be at 7:30 Central Time. So those are the only two that I will have locked down on a time. So on the 19th, it'll be 8:30 Central, and then on the 24th, it will be 7:30 Central. The rest will just be pop-up streams. So when we were talking about the organization and just having that space to, you really have to remember that everything it coincides. Your life is a series of layers, okay? From work to relationships to children, all of those pets, all of those things are layered in your life, and they're all going to twist and turn and kind of stick together. It's all like this meshed together, but it all comes together. And so understanding those layers and being able to take moments to just kind of release in Wusaw it's going to be beneficial for you. Awesome. Awesome. Boo. So so again, going over it again, if we watch this later, definitely hashtag some of your ways of managing stress. But I want you guys to definitely understand that stress can kill. Stress can make you ill. Stress can start to cause a lot of issues with your body, with your health. And you don't want to sit in that energy, especially mental health. We didn't even touch that. So we touched more of heart, lungs, things like that, right? But mental health is one of the other bigger things of stress, because when you go through however long that you go through, say 6 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years, a decade of constantly putting your feelings, your emotions to the side, your needs to the side, you will break down. And some of you have probably gone through this where you've broken down, you feel mentally just all over the place, depressed, can't get up, feel like shit. And those are part of that mental exhaustion, because your mind is like, I can't take any more, because you have not listened to yourself. And so, we talk about self awareness, we talk about listening to our body, we talk about these things, but are we practicing them? Right? Because your body is going to speak to you in so many ways. So, mentally, you have to remember that your mind needs a break, right? Your mind needs a break. Your mind cannot just keep going without you giving it a break. Um, you cannot just go, 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 go forever. So there has to be a point of, what are you doing to give your mind that break? And doing things that you don't have to think of. Okay. There's going to be things that just get your mind to take a break. Also doing the things that takes your mind off of your problems. That's where the dancing comes into it, or doing yoga, or going to work out, or, any of those things. Now, of course, you could watch TV, but I wouldn't suggest that be your go-to, because you're going to get into a habit of binge watching, right? Binge watching is the equivalent of binge drinking. Okay. You don't want to get into anything that starts to become habit forming and an addiction. Sitting and scrolling on social media, all right, that becomes an addiction. How many times have you wasted hours on social media and you didn't gain anything from it? All you did was come out of social media with constant and more stress and more worry and more anxiety, because that is what's programmed on social media. So you got to remember, when you're trying to de-stress, social media is not it. The news is not it. You want to stay away from all of those things when you're like, I need to de-stress. Now, if you can, go off on a retreat. We got a retreat going on in May. Who's coming? In Colorado? Go to a retreat, take a weekend out in nature. There's other things that you can do also, but you want to make sure that shut that damn phone off for a day. And those of you who cannot shut your phone off for a day, then you have a problem. There is a problem with that if you cannot shut your phone off. So, and I know some people actually are managers and they're always on call. Those are kind of a little bit different because you're on call. You chose to be on call. You chose to, so now you got to find other things to de-stress. Got to find other ways. But there's also salt tanks. If you ever heard about a salt tank, find one, go to it and experience it. It's such a crazy thing to experience, but you are definitely going to come out feeling good. So you have to start finding stuff. Take yourself to a fucking massage parlor. Have you ever had a full body massage? Go and pay the $60, $70 for a fucking massage. Go do it. You come out feeling like, damn, I need to do this shit more. Go get a pedicure and just sit there and spend that $50, $60 for a pedicure. Sit there and just let somebody else take care of you. So there's so many things that you can do. You got to remember, you want to do things that make you feel better. Now, also remember stress, not only mentally, okay, because we're looking at mental as well, taking care of your mind. You got to shut your mind off. And that goes back to what I said about understanding what you can control and what you can't control. Do not over stress yourself with things that you cannot change today. If you cannot fix the problem today, don't fucking focus on it all day. You have to get into this point. And I don't want to say have to, because you actually don't have to do shit. You could just stay in the stress. Okay. You want to get in a place to say, I know that everything's going to work out. One of the things in my life, I've always known everything will work out. Spirit has shown me time and time again. No matter how bad I think it is, no matter how much I think everything's going to crumble and fall, everything always works out. So you come into a place of understanding, no matter how bad it looks today, everything will work out in my favor. And when you start to say that out loud and speak to the universe is always going to provide you those ways to fix, to grow, and to change things that you have control over. I'm not talking about somebody else's life. Okay. I'm not talking about changing somebody else's stress, their shit. I'm talking about you, your life. So remember, you're always going to be okay. Things will always work out in your favor. And you have to start saying those things and believe it, because spirit will show you time and time again. But if you don't believe, guess what? That is true too, because your mind does create a huge part of your reality. And the more we understand that, and I think I'll probably do a tribe talk just to talk about that, because it gets hard. I don't want to live like this. I don't want to be stressed and I don't want to be this, but you take yourself to there every day. You take yourself to those points of stress all the time, but you say you don't want to be there, right? You don't want to be there, but you keep going there. So you got to see and really see how you are taking yourself into these energetic fields. We are vibrational beings. You are always in the vibration as a magnet. And it's crazy because I tell you guys that I've talked about this as far as spirituality goes. I'm taking an astronomy class, which is a science class, right? And my teacher said the same thing, that you guys are all magnets. And he was like, there's no one that you meet in your life that is not drawn to you by your magnet. This is someone in science telling us this. So we got science and spirituality coinciding on the same thing, that we are in the middle of it all. We're the ones pulling this energy in. Okay. So if you get to understanding that, you're like, whoo, I got to change the way I'm thinking, because I don't want to go through this shit no more. I don't want to be in this vibration no more. How do I get to the next vibration? I want to be in a higher, better vibration. Right. My father's been in the hospital for a triple bypass, been challenging to stay positive. Family was planning a funeral, but he woke up today after 2 months under sedation. Trust and experiences challenging times. You know what it is. And I don't want to say I don't want to say like everything is always going to be easy to believe that it all works out, but it will all work out. Even when it comes to someone's life, we love them, we don't want them to die, but we have no control over that. You have no control over when your father is supposed to go, when he's not supposed to go. You have no control. Doesn't matter how much you sit there in that hospital bed and beg to the God upstairs to say, please don't take him. That's not changing anything. It's not changing anything. One of the things throughout my spiritual career this past 5 years is I had to learn how to understand what death is and understand that life comes with death. They're married. Those are, they're married, they come, and none of us have a blueprint of how long somebody is supposed to last. What makes it hard for us is the projection that we have to someone. You're supposed to live until you're 100. Well, we don't know that. We're assuming that that person is supposed to live this long life. We don't know that. We do not have any control, nor do we have that knowledge. So understanding that and taking away the fear of someone going and understanding that I will just make the very best of my life with this person every day takes away from all of that craziness at the end of the day. But you really have to believe, one, you have no power over their death date. Two, I know that every day I show up and I love this person, and this person, I make sure they know that that I love them, you know, and that's it. You don't have to go with no regrets, no craziness, no none of that, right? But we don't live like that. We get in this mode of thinking someone's life is cut short. And, yes, with grief, you have to get to a point where understanding if the person does go, you have to re-coordinate your life, because the life that, again, you saw is not reality. But that's because you created a facade. You know what I mean? You created a facade of what you thought life was. It has nothing to do with that person. So just taking those steps back and thinking like, damn, that's some real shit, to make you think like, shit, I really do not have hey Raquel, I really have no power in the other person's life. You actually have no power in your death day. All you can do is every day you get up and you live life to the very fullest, and understand that when none of us are promised to see tomorrow. None of us are promised to see tomorrow's daylight. And if you start to live your life like that, you will make the best of your days a lot more. You will stop saying I can't, and you will start saying I can, because I don't know if I'm going to be here tomorrow. I don't know if that person's going to be here tomorrow. And so most of us, we're all in this delusional state that everybody has months and years, and I got time. I got time to do that. Well, you might not. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. And if you make a decision, you have to be okay with those decisions, right? So that's the other part of it, is make a decision and be okay with it. And a lot of times we're not. And that's where we go to, I should have called them more. I should have did this more. I should have did that more. I think your family sitting down and going over the planning of a funeral, I think was good, because that means that he's giving you guys time to sit and go over the things that you need to go over. Planning a funeral is not easy. Do you guys know what he wants? Does everybody on the same page? There's a lot of things that go into that. And that's where a lot of problems come into it with the family, right? So sitting down and understanding, like my mom and my dad, I knew what both of them, my mom's not gone yet, but my dad, hey, Shondell, we knew what he wanted. He didn't want a funeral. He didn't want anyone coming to view his body. He just wanted to be cremated. That's it. And then his next wish is to be put out into the ocean, which I have not done that yet, but I will be doing that probably in the next year or two. So it's one of those things of understanding somebody's wishes and hold those wishes. Don't go against those wishes because somebody else wants to view the body and do all this other crazy stuff. Hopefully you guys can talk to him and get and understand what he wants, but just take that step back. And I'm not saying that you'll ever just be like, oh, well, whatever, this person's going. but understanding life and death comes together. And this life is very short as humans, and just every day making the best of it. And don't get caught up with grief, because there's nothing you can do to change somebody's death day. There's nothing you can do to change when someone's gone. All you can do is sit in today. But if today all you're sitting in is grief because they're no longer here and you thinking somehow they're missing out, let me tell you, they are not. Most people are going off into their next life. Most people are going off into their next position. Most of them are going on to a higher level, something else that's shit, probably better than this life. But we're the ones stuck. And I always tell you guys this. If you get stuck in that grief, you keep pulling their energy back into this very dark place. And you don't want to do that. You don't want to keep bringing them back to this dark place. You want them to be able to go off into that next life, go on into that next adventure, go on into whatever that is that they're going to, right? Yeah. I feel like families should talk about death. Like, my kids know what I want. I don't want a funeral. I don't want any funeral. I don't want the kiddos seeing me when I'm gone, because it's not me. They're going to see a shell of me that's not going to look like me, and it's going to haunt them to have seen me like that. Especially if the people don't, sew my lips up right, or they don't sew my eyes up right, or whatever it is. So they'll have this crazy view of me when I pass, and I don't want that. So I've told my kids what I want. I don't want certain things. Don't do it. Don't waste the money. Don't do it. We have a plan. So I feel like families have to sit and make those plans together. It does alleviate, talking about stress, it'll alleviate some stress having that plan. And if everybody sticks to the plan, boom, then you're good. But if you don't stick to the plan and that's where everybody's all over the place, then you have problems. Hey, Holly. So those of you who are just tuning in, go back and watch it. It was talking about managing stress on this live. I am going to end it because I've been on here an hour. But I did talk about some neat things to do. If you have some ways that you de-stress, drop a comment so that people can read it and see how they can de-stress, what techniques that they can use. But there's so many different ways, right? There's so many different ways to get into those moments. And the biggest thing I want you guys to do is sit with all of your stressors. Are they really yours? And if they're not, start flicking them off. That ain't mine. That ain't mine. That ain't mine. Even when I used to be at work, because I haven't worked for nobody else in over 5 years, but when I cared too much and I took it home with me. And it took me a while to get to a point where I said, I got to stop taking this shit home. I got to stop. Once I leave this door, I got to leave it here. And then I got into the routine of leaving it there. And that's it. Stays at work. It does not come home with me. And a lot of people go home, they'll talk about their day, they'll talk about the bullshit that happened. And so it's on, and you're carrying the energy over and over and over. Getting to the point, leave it at work. That's work. I don't want to take this home. I want to go home and focus on my family. I want to go home and focus and put my feet up. I want to focus and chill and relax and go focus to sip my wine. I'm not going to take another hour to talk about the bullshit that happened at work. I'm not going to take another hour to talk about what my sister's doing. I'm not going to take another hour to talk about what her damn kids are doing. Again, not my monkeys, not my circus. Exactly. This is like the best thing right here. You just got to check out and say, it is not mine to carry. You cannot, because people are going to do what they do. And we have more stress that's not ours than what is actually ours, right? Yeah. And see, that's when people are from, one of the things that I used to do very, very well is to, when people start talking about their problems, I listen and then I leave. I don't entertain it. I don't start, because once you open the door, then this person is constantly coming to you. And I would see people that would be in somebody else's office. They're talking about their problems. They talk about their life and how they want to leave their husband and all this other crazy shit. And I would just be like, I'll be over there in my office. People knew not to come talk to me because I'm doing my work. I'm not here to be your therapist. I'm here to do my work. You got to be someone who just knows how to cut people off. You got to be someone who just knows how to nope, I'm not entertaining it. And people will think you're cold. It's okay. They'll think you're being a bitch or an asshole. And that's okay. Because again, you don't want to become the go-to. Go get a fucking therapist. That's what they're for. You need a therapist. Go talk to them. We should be talking about work. How can we get this work done? So again, you just have to be the one that cuts it off, where it's just like, hey, I can't listen to your problems all day. I'm trying to get my work done. You know, I don't want to listen to your baby daddy shit, what your kids did. Sorry. That's what your lunch is for. Go do that on your lunch. And one of the biggest things that I teach, even as an empath, you got to understand, even as an empath, you can cleanse, transmute, and let go energy. You do not need to hold on to it. A lot of people think being an empath means that, well, I feel their energy, so now it's bothered me. You don't got to hold that shit. Who said that the rule said you're an empath and now you need to hold it? You feel their energy, whew, let it go. That's theirs. That's the easiest thing that you have to do. You do not need to hold it. It's as easy as saying, I don't want their energy. I don't want to feel like she's feeling. Keep that energy over there. You have to be able to remember that you control this shit. If you are sitting here and you are like, I'm an empath, I have no control, then boo, you're going to be here feeling all types of shit bouncing off the wall. You have to get to the point to understand that you are in control of this. You are in control of your energy. You are in control of what you want and what you don't want. And you have to believe it, right? Because the mind is everything. Your mind creates your reality. If you believe that you're an empath and you got to hold on to everybody's shit, guess what? You're going to be a fucked up empath. If you believe that you're an empath and you can pick up on other people's energy, but if you don't want to sit in that energy, I have the power to let that shit go and move on, then you become a powerful empath. You become a transmuter. We call it transmuting energy. Okay, I don't like this shit. Let me transmute this to happiness because I want to stay over here in the happiness. I don't want to be over here with Betty and her shit. But you got to learn how to do that. You got to learn how to not, and we talked about it, not letting other people shit affect you. Okay, so that's a misconception about empaths that you're gonna feel energy because empaths, you're connecting to energy. As soon as people get around your energy field, your synergy, you guys are like this and you're feeling it, right? But you do not have to hold on to it. And remember, as I said earlier, we're magnets. So if Betty Sue with her problems is in your energy, there's a reason why she's there. Not saying you got to take on her shit, but maybe that's what you need to do. Realize that I need to learn how to block her shit. That's why Spirit brought Betty over here with her bullshit. I need to learn how to block it. And so when you start to understand that you're the magnet to everything bouncing off of you, you're the magnet. So if you don't want things anymore, you don't want certain things in your energy field, you have to make a conscious choice to start changing that. Starts with you. It always does. We don't want to hear that because it's easier to blame everybody else, but we're in control. And if you're not in control, you have to start the process to get in control. And it's the biggest thing is convincing yourself that you are in control. Yeah, breathe, stretch, shake it, let go. Yeah, you have to let it go. Becoming a transmuter, and anyone can do this. It's not like I'm a magical fucking being. Yes, but anybody can do this. Anybody can turn into a transmuter, turning negative into positive. But understanding that you are the common denominator in every situation. You have the power. Unless it's not your fucking business, then you got to decide whether or not you want to attach yourself to somebody else's shitstorm. And I don't know about you, but I don't want to fucking walk into somebody's vortex hurricane tornado. I'm cool over here of viewing it from miles away. I'm definitely going to be live more this week. School has been crazy. I have 5 classes this semester. So school has been kicking my ass. All good though. All good things. And I've learned so much in the classes that I've been taking. It's crazy how Spirit has got me learning, even when I'm in college doing some shit. It's just crazy. So it's been really good. So this is my spring break coming up this week. So I will be live off and on this week. I'll pop up a couple nights and go live with you guys. But yeah, so again, if you've missed this live, go back to the beginning. Definitely watch it, think, and then type some things that you guys do for de-stressing. But it is about how you have to bring in awareness to the things that you're allowing in your life. And I even had to do this with my kids. If you're a mother, same thing. You got to stop making your kids bullshit your bullshit. You got to stop taking on their shit. You can't sit and take on their shit. I know as moms, we want to make our kids' lives better, but sometimes you got to sit back and be like, you know what? You created that shit. You learn from it. And again, you're not being an asshole or being a bitch. You're just understanding that you have to protect your peace also. And some people, you just got to let them be and let them go through their experience. And there's nothing that you can do. So why sit in this space of worry and craziness? It's not going to help you. So if you learn these techniques, if you learn some of these, understand what's stress, right? Understand what's yours and what's not yours. You start to breathe better. You start to live better. You're like, well, why I wasn't doing this shit 10 years ago. You know, it does start to change. I promise you guys, it changes. The more awareness you become to the things that you allow in your life, the more your life changes and the less shit that you start to deal with. Because right now, a lot of people think they have to deal with a lot of things, but you don't. There's a lot of things that you don't have to deal with. You're just doing it out of what obligation you think you have, because you're an empath, because you're a spiritual warrior, because you're a healer. And one of my biggest lessons with spirit the last 2 years was they were like, doesn't matter if you're a healer, you need to shut it down and take care of you, do some shit for you. And I would still be like, but I want to help people. They would be like, no, not until you learn how to shut it off completely, because I wasn't shutting the door completely. There was a lot of people that were still attached to me. So in this past 2 years, I really had to sit with that and learn how to transmute and detach from the world's problems. And that was something that I didn't realize how interconnected I was with the collective. And yes, we're all connected, but we don't have to take on the world's problems. We're not all here to change the world. We're here to experience the world. And I know that the world looks very grim out there and it looks like it needs saving, but we're really here to experience it. And you have to wonder, do I want to experience it in fucking stress and crying and craziness? Or do I want to experience it in love and happiness and thriving and making memories? You got to decide what you want. At some point, you have to remember that it's not your job to save the world. It's your job to save you. One of the biggest messages over the past 5 years that Spirit has given me, you have to save you. You cannot save anybody else. Cannot heal anybody else. All you can do is heal you. And so the more you turn into you, which means you got to become a little selfish, right? The better it is for you and life changes. And then you understand, as you heal, as you grow, so does the world around you. It's like this crazy vibrational shift. And that's like the contrast with life. And that's what us as humans don't understand. And so we keep trying to strive and change and heal and do. And you got to get in touch with your energy. You got to understand how your energy and your thoughts work. If you've never seen or heard Abraham Hicks, she is her actual name is Esther, and she channels higher beings, and they always speak in the we, because they're higher being energy. Listen to some of her stuff. Listen to what they're saying. They never ever, the ones she channels, now other people channel other things, but the ones she channels, they never tell you need to come here and save the world. But it's some beautiful positive messages, and the more you listen and understand it, the more you can detach. Now, if you want to create and be a healer, you want to be a doctor, you want to be a nurse, those are all beautiful things. Be the best whatever you are in your lives. That's great. But if you want whatever job you want to do it. Do it to the fucking absolute 100% fullest. You know, just remember, you don't need to save the world. You're not here for that. Get into the experience. Every day you have today, you have now, you have the present. What am I going to do right now? What am I doing right now that I love to do? What am I going to do right now that I feel good doing? What am I going to do right now that gives me that boost? That's what you got to get into. Tap into that. Hey, Victoria. I did because I didn't feel like combing my hair. I had washed my hair and then I just let it be whatever. And then I was like, let me wrap this up real quick. So that's what I got for you guys. I'm going to go ahead and end this. Again, if you missed the live, go back to the beginning. Actually, I'm going to play a little bit of it right now so you can see it. I'm going to play a little bit right now so that you guys can see what I mean. I'll give you like a little taste real quick. And then I'll You guys, let me know if you can hear it.
Affirm them as you believe them, better still, as you know them, as you walk through your day-to-day experience with them on your mind, you will gain control of your own experience. And otherwise, you're living life by default. You're observing and offering a vibration and getting all kinds of stuff back in response to all kinds of stuff that you're outputting. And usually then trying to explain how you got to where you are or why things are happening by blaming yourself or blaming others. Some even go so far as to blame their mothers or their partners or even past life experiences. In other words, you're sort of desperate to explain why what is, and we're going to explain to you why what is. And once you understand why what is, then you'll have more control over what is. It's really a nice thing. It's co-creation at its best. So here you are in these bodies, that's obvious, but while you're in this body, there's a larger part of you that is non-physically focused. Humans refer to that as your soul. We like to call it your source, your inner being. Some refer to that as God, although they have a hard time referring to part of them as God because most have separated themselves from what they believe that is. But you are an extension of that source energy, and the larger part of that which you are is not here in your physical body with you, in your personality with you, but is a consciousness who is aware of you and participating with you. Now that matters because that understanding of those two important vibrational aspects of you explains why your guidance system works the way that it does. So here's what happened and is what is happening. You were source energy and consciously decided to participate in this body, in this personality at this time, and so into this physical body you were born. As you came into this physical body, at first there was no vibrational separation between the source from which you had come and you in this body, because you had not picked up enough on your physical trail to cause any resistance within your vibration. But as you spend more time here and you look at what is wanted and unwanted, and you listen to others around you, you begin to develop opinions and attitudes and beliefs. Beliefs are just thoughts that you continue to think. You began to create a vibrational attitude that became, in many cases, in fact, in most cases, contradictory is a strong word. Contrary is a less strong word. Resistant to is a less strong word. The vibration of your source. In very simple terms, your source always knows your value. And when you convince yourself or somebody else convinces you that your value is less, then you introduce resistance into the equation of you and you. And that's what
I'll just leave that at that. But look it up, Abraham Hicks, again, and it's part of me doing the quantum healing sessions now and asking higher source energy these questions. A lot of what she says has come through those sessions. And so the more we understand that we are vibrational beings, the more that we understand we are not separated than God's source energy, the more we understand what we can tap into and what we can do and what we can change, the easier life gets, the change happens. And it really does get you to sit back. Yeah. When you start tapping into higher source level energy, you start to realize how minuscule things are as humans. You start to understand, why do we do what we do as humans? We really fucking overthink this shit. We really do confuse. And we're constantly going back and back to actually become that contrast. It is a negative contrast instead of going for the things that we want to make happen. So if you look it up, here are some of those, definitely some beautiful messages within those. And it just makes you start to realize you got to tap into your vibrational source energy. And what do you want to align with? And if you're aligned with negative stuff, you don't want to stay in that vibration. You want to keep detaching yourself from that vibration. And it's never because you don't love people, you don't care about them anymore. It's because you no longer want to be there. And this is why when you're healing and growing, people fall out of with you, right? People drop off, people disappear because they're no longer in the same vibration. And you're always going to be whatever's in your world, which Abraham Hicks refers to it as a vortex. So whatever's in your world and your energy are the things that you're calling in, that you're magnetizing in. So you got to remember, if you don't like what's coming in, you need to change your vibration so that the things coming in match what you got going on inside. And so if you keep going with this process, you will start to change your vibration. Hey, Penny, and you will start to change what is magnetized to you. And you won't keep calling in the shitty lover. You won't keep calling in the shitty friends. You won't keep being the doorstep for everybody else. You won't be, you won't be that person anymore, because you will learn that that's not the vibration I want to be in. It doesn't feel good in that vibration. And she talks a lot about understanding what you feel. Does this feel good to you? No, don't do it. So it's beautiful. It's definitely something that, we have to unprogram our mind. One of the biggest things in spirituality, you guys, is you have to literally forget everything that you thought you knew. And every time you think you know something, you got to just wipe the board clean and be like, nope, I don't know shit. Because it's really, really just taking away everything that you think you know and reprogramming your mind, your body, and soul to understand who you truly are and what you really came here to do, So I'll leave you guys with that. Go ahead and go watch it. As always, like this video, share it out to somebody who probably needs to hear this. And I will see you guys later this week. Bye.
Thank you.